A deep, guttural growl tore through the silent solemnity of the funeral. A majestic figure, with a thick mane, approached the red-draped coffin. It was Simba, Lord of the Savannah, come to bid farewell to his special friend. Dawn awoke on the East African highlands with brilliant orange streaks filtering through the thin mist. The fog hung ethereally over the vast grasslands, embracing the ancient acacia trees with their wide, umbrella-like canopies. The cool morning air carried the scent of damp earth and the delicate fragrance of newly bloomed wildflowers. From the mud-brick houses with their ancient palm-frond roofs, nestled closely together in the old village, wisps of smoke from cooking fires rose gently, blending into the early morning haze, creating a peaceful, tranquil scene. But today, this serenity seemed heavy with a palpable sadness. Captain Kofi's new day began very early, as the first rays of sunlight were still struggling to pierce the misty veil over the highlands. He awoke in his small mud-brick house on the edge of the village, where the cheerful chirping of birds had become a familiar part of life. After a quick breakfast of hot tea and chapati bread, Kofi donned his familiar khaki ranger uniform, neat and serious. Kofi's daily work involved patrolling the vast conservation area near Nairobi. He loved his job, the wild animals, and the magnificent natural landscape of this place. Today, like any other day, he drove his old Jeep across the dusty red dirt roads, his eyes constantly scanning for animal tracks. He checked for illegal traps, monitored the elephant herds feeding near the waterhole, and recorded observations about the migration of bird species. Kofi was always dedicated to his work, viewing the protection of nature not just as a responsibility, but also as a passion, a way of life. In the afternoon, as the African sun became intense, Kofi received an urgent call from headquarters. Information about a cross-border trafficking ring dealing in rare animals had just been uncovered. The traffickers were preparing to transport a large shipment, including highly endangered species. Without hesitation, Kofi accepted the mission, along with a young and enthusiastic colleague. Darkness enveloped the savannah. The faint moonlight was not enough to dispel the dense night. Kofi and his partner concealed themselves in the thick undergrowth, patiently waiting for the traffickers' vehicle to appear. They were prepared for any dangerous situation. Suddenly, the roar of an engine shattered the silence. A large convoy of trucks approached, filled with iron cages containing the suffering fate of wild creatures. The traffickers emerged, aggressive and armed. A fierce shootout erupted. Kofi and his partner fought bravely, trying to stop this cruel act. The sharp crackle of gunfire echoed through the night. In the exchange, Kofi was shot, and the young colleague was also seriously wounded. Finally, with the support of reinforcements, the traffickers were subdued, but Kofi and his partner lay fallen in pools of blood. They were quickly taken to a nearby field hospital. At the hospital, the doctors pronounced Kofi deceased. Kofi's funeral took place in an atmosphere of solemnity and sorrow. Relatives, friends, colleagues, and villagers alike came to pay their respects to the hero. The red-draped coffin was placed solemnly in the center of the village courtyard. Heartfelt prayers were whispered. Suddenly, from the distance, a large, majestic figure slowly approached the funeral procession. Everyone was stunned, unable to believe their eyes. It was a fully grown male lion, with a brilliant golden mane under the sunlight. It was Simba, the lion Kofi had rescued 15 years earlier when it was a lost and starving cub. Simba approached the red-draped coffin, his amber eyes gazing sadly at it. He stopped, placed his front paws on the side of the coffin, lowered his head, and emitted a low, mournful growl, like a choked sob. Simba's unusual appearance and emotional behavior astonished and moved everyone present. Witnessing the incredibly strange scene, a tense atmosphere enveloped the funeral. Simba's low, sorrowful growl was like a question, a denial of the death that everyone was trying to accept. Doubtful and hopeful eyes alike were fixed on the red-draped coffin. A few of Kofi's close friends, who had witnessed the extraordinary bond between him and Simba over the years, spoke up and suggested opening the coffin. Initially, many hesitated, considering it disrespectful to the deceased. However, the persistence of the close friends, combined with the anguish and a strange intuition, finally convinced the others. The air grew deathly still as strong men approached the coffin. Each click as the nails were pried loose echoed in the quiet space. Every movement was slow, careful, as if they were holding a profound secret. Time seemed to stand still. Finally, the heavy lid of the coffin was slowly lifted. Soft gasps rippled through the crowd watching with bated breath. Everyone's eyes were fixed inside, awaiting something they couldn't quite define. As the coffin lid was fully opened, a collective gasp of astonishment, shock, and disbelief arose. The body lying inside was not Captain Kofi. Instead, before their eyes was the face of a younger man, though carefully cleaned, still bearing the marks of pain and loss. Kofi's close friends recognized him immediately. It was the partner who had accompanied him on that fateful secret mission. A deathly silence fell over the funeral. The tears still clinging to eyelids suddenly froze. Shock was etched on every face. How could this be? Where was Kofi? Why was his partner lying in this coffin? Countless unspoken questions hung in the air, creating turmoil in everyone's minds. Only Simba, the majestic lion, remained with his sorrowful expression, his amber eyes seemingly holding a deep pain that no one could fully understand. In the midst of shock and confusion, everyone quickly regained their composure. The funeral was immediately halted. A group of people rushed to the field hospital where Kofi and his partner had been taken, to clarify the situation. They quickly learned the truth. During the shootout with the animal traffickers, 2 rangers had been brought to the hospital. One had died from blood loss, and the other had been put into a coma due to his injuries. The injured ranger's face had been bandaged, and now the doctors were forced to admit that in the terrible chaos, they had mixed up the bodies of the 2 rangers and declared Kofi dead, while in reality, it was one of his colleagues who had succumbed to his wounds. In the heavy atmosphere of the newly revealed truth, the hospital representatives, with pale faces and eyes full of regret, officially spoke. The apology was uttered with difficulty, haltingly, as if they themselves were bearing a heavy burden of responsibility. They acknowledged the serious negligence in the victim identification process, especially in the darkness and chaos following the fierce clash with the smugglers. The explanations regarding the work pressure and the number of patients requiring urgent care seemed meaningless in the face of the pain and emotional turmoil that Captain Kofi's family and the entire community were experiencing. The apology was not merely dry words but also contained deep remorse from the depths of the medical professionals' hearts. They understood that, under any circumstances, caution and accuracy are paramount principles, especially when human lives are involved. This mistake not only caused the wrongful grief of loss for the deceased colleague's family but also sowed a bitter hope and subsequent disappointment in the hearts of those who loved Kofi. The belated apology, no matter how sincere, could not erase the deep emotional wounds and the painful days that everyone had endured. It became a costly lesson in caution and responsibility in all actions, especially in life-and-death situations. After many days in a coma, Kofi finally awoke. He was stunned to learn about the heartbreaking mix-up and Simba's strange appearance at the funeral. As his health gradually recovered, the first thing Kofi thought of was finding his special friend again. One morning at dawn, Kofi drove his jeep alone onto the vast savanna. He searched the areas where he and Simba used to meet. Finally, in a golden grassland stretching under the shade of acacia trees, he saw Simba. The majestic lion lay peacefully in the morning sun. As Kofi stepped out of the jeep, Simba raised his head, his amber eyes lighting up with a familiar spark. He slowly stood up and approached Kofi. Without any fear or hesitation, Simba nuzzled his head against Kofi, emitting a soft growl like a warm greeting. Kofi embraced Simba's powerful neck, feeling the deep connection between them, a bond that words could not explain. This story is a moving testament to how friendship and compassion can transcend all boundaries, even between humans and wild animals. Kofi's act of saving Simba years ago sowed a seed of kindness that blossomed into a deep and enduring connection. Simba's appearance at the funeral and his growling before the red-draped coffin led to the discovery of the mistake, an unexpected but hopeful outcome. The story also reminds us of the value of life, loss, and the importance of cherishing the relationships around us. Sometimes, small acts of kindness can ripple outwards and profoundly affect other beings, creating miracles we never anticipate. What do you think about this dramatic and emotional story? Simba's appearance played a pivotal role in revealing the unexpected truth. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy meaningful stories and want to explore more of the wonders of the natural world, don't forget to hit the subscribe button for our channel so you don't miss our next fascinating videos. Thank you for listening.